Karn, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Honestly, Andy and I were just doing some research. We're not experts on this by any stretch of the imagination. Before we get into what exactly Re is doing and why you guys have brought reinsurance on chain, if you don't mind, a brief explainer, high level, what is reinsurance in general before we get into the nitty gritty?
Yeah. We're the insurance company for insurance companies at the highest level, right? And so Re itself is on-chain actors pledging capital that ends up backing the insurance policies that insurance companies around the world write. So insurance companies will go write home, auto, earthquake, floods, fires, hurricanes, small businesses. Those businesses will pay insurance premiums. Those premiums will percolate down to the ultimate collateral provider, and that's where the economics come from. That's reinsurance.
And
Gotcha.
so this is essentially a yield product. Anyone can pledge collateral. I'm maybe stretching this to the ultimate democratization of capital, but in theory, anyone could provide collateral. And then when it comes down to who is there that has to pay the bill, if there is a hurricane or there's a flood, it's going to get taken out of that collateral. But in the case where there is no catastrophic event, these premiums continue to accrue to the people that pledge the collateral, and that's how they collect the yield. Is that generally the
Yeah,
right way to think about it?
in some sense, you're becoming the insurance company, right? And people are paying you premiums in an efficient market. Every dollar of premium pays the claims, it pays the related expenses, it pays you a margin. Reinsurance is really just kind of the safety cushion on top of that in adverse circumstances, right? If the insurance company didn't believe they were going to make money by selling you a dollar insurance and charging you a dollar premium, they wouldn't be in business for very long.
We've got upwards of $400 million of TVL, or just right around there now for RE protocol. REUSD is hitting about 100 million in outstanding supply, or TVL, or market cap, however, kind of like count it there. What talk to us about this rise, right? So take us back, June 2025. REUSD is basically just getting off the ground. Absolutely hockey stick growth. What has been the recipe for success here? And just kind of give us the story a bit of RE, and maybe tie in some of your background here.
And why bring
Yeah.
this on chain?
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with like what the product is, right? The product is a promise to pay under a certain set of circumstances, coupled with proof that we can pay under those circumstances. And having on-chain capital and those representations memorialized on chain is like the most elegant way to accomplish that particular task. And so insurance and reinsurance are like incredibly well suited actually for being on chain. Yeah, with respect to the Re protocol continuing to grow, look, man, we probably run the most scalable, durable business in crypto, and it's just starting to show, right? We're talking about $1 trillion in premium to be accessed in just the reinsurance market. We're talking about 7 to 8 trillion in premium to be accessed in the primary insurance market. All of it is basically the same product that I just specified. It ends up being a contract, a price, some stipulations, and the capital that you can use to back it. I didn't just stumble on this. Like Re is now in its 3rd year of operations on the reinsurance side. We back 35 insurance companies across the United States today. So we've proven out that we can sell reinsurance to insurance companies, which is it's a non-trivial thing to do. It's hard. We've also proven that we can connect DeFi capital to those insurance companies and make regulators happy along the way. The combination of those things is an incredibly difficult thing to execute on. And it wouldn't be possible if we didn't have a team of exceptionally DeFi-oriented folks and folks who have built insurance companies in the past. And so prior to this, I built Cover. It's a national insurance company out of Combinator. And so I've got some experience now corralling regulators, getting them to see our vision and counterparties in the insurance space to work with us.
Awesome. Karn, do you think that the scalability and durability of the business stems from just the clear Lindy effect of the total product market fit here? Like there's very clearly a need for insurance. It's a massive industry. Bringing this on chain just makes sense. Like there's just a very clear, long-standing business model here. what I'm trying to get at is what makes this so scalable and durable from your perspective.
Yeah, look, I think you have a variety of reinsurers that exist. They have product market fit, right? They sell collectively, you know, they have hundreds of billions in capital that have been allocated to them. They deploy that capital to secure tens of millions of businesses, hundreds of millions of people around the world. There's clear product market fit. People buy these policies. Now, what we're saying is that infrastructure needs to be updated. What you can do now from first principles is you can build an incredibly high operating leverage reinsurance business using a modern technology stack and using this transformer into DeFi. You can bring tens of millions of people on chain by simply selling them policies, having those policies memorialized on chain and the capital that backs them memorialized on chain. And then, because there's such a dearth of opportunity, of actual real yield opportunity, we're talking about things that are not self-referential, but quite literally millions of people paying money into a pot from which you are paid your economics. The dearth of opportunity means that the cost of capital advantage relative to the rest of the market is going to start to become very obvious as we scale. So you combine the cost of capital advantage, you combine the OpEx advantage, and you build something that in retrospect will look very, very obvious, but looking forward is just hard to do because so few people can do it.
What are the network effects here as you guys scale? Because early on in DeFi, Andy and I were there. We were yield farming. We were depositing into these LPs, right? And a lot of times the idea was, the most amount of trading fees divided by the amount of liquidity in the pool. You wanted to get your liquidity in early. That was the point of maximum financial opportunity. As you scale the amount of capital that's being pledged into these reinsurance pools, will you divide? Will that dilute the yield that is accrued, or what? Generally, what are the network effects? How will this thing scale?
Yeah, so look, it's a protocol for a reason, right? Like what we're trying to build is the internet capital markets for insurance. I own a reinsurer. That reinsurer goes out into the world and sells insurance to insurance companies. There are lots of other reinsurers. And so there's no reason why the protocol should not be able to enable other reinsurers and insurance companies to directly transact with this capital layer, right? And so if you're thinking about depth and scale, I am not the rate limiter, right? The rate limiter then becomes, hey, can we get XYZ insurance company on this platform? Can they bring tens of billions of premium to the platform of existing seasoned business? Can they deliver a rate of return that's acceptable to the depositor? And the answer is yes, right? Like these folks go to alternative capital markets all the time. They set up SPVs. The alternative capital market insurance is the fastest growing part of that capital stack, right? And so this would fit really neatly into exactly what's happening in the insurance market today.
Yeah. One of the things with insurance is like underwriting, right? You got to figure out which risks are worth underwriting, how you kind of
Yep.
calculate these risks, and then bringing this on chain, you kind of bring a different level of risk parameters to the table. Anything from smart
Yep.
contract risk to keys to custody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how does RE decide which risks are worth underwriting on chain, and what is your underwriting process from the protocol perspective?
Yeah, for sure. So look, I think every risk that is borne by is passed through actuaries and underwriters that have been in the business and delivered profitability in the past, right? And so just from like a level setting perspective, the insurance company needs to make money. So their actuaries and underwriters got to believe their pricing is correct. We got to believe we're going to make money if we're going to participate in any sort of this risk transfer. And ultimately, we need to be able to protect the economics of depositors to the maximum extent possible. Because if you guys you clearly are plugged into DeFi, people don't know how to underwrite these types of exotic risks, and that's kind of the rate limiting thing, right? So the way we solve for this is like our money is junior. Our entire balance sheet is in the junior position. It absorbs the insurance risk primarily. Depositors are senior to us, and that's both for our re-USDE product, which absorbs insurance risk, and the re-USD product, which has grown the most. It's most risk remote and over collateralized, right? So the way that we've gotten around this is like we'll eat our own cooking. We believe it. We've now been underwriting profitable for 3 years. We want to show that there is a vector of attack to bridge these two markets together. we're happy to do it. And if you want access to this market, we'll give you the most risk remote way we can make it conceivably possible. And we'll meet the liquidity needs that you've got, right? If you're plugged into the rest of DeFi. So it's required quite a bit of learning on my part to like get up to speed on DeFi. We've now surrounded ourselves with really smart people in DeFi, and I think they're going to kind of carry the flag in that realm. And at the same time, done a lot of like novel structuring on the reinsurance side to make all of this possible. But it's supposed to be risk remote, it's supposed to be liquid, it's supposed to give you a taste. As the market matures, people can decide whether they want to take more insurance risk or not.
It sounds like, you cut your teeth in the traditional insurance world, and now you're, delving into the DeFi world. Just curious, as you were diving in, you were learning more about this. What stuck out to you? Where were the light bulb moments? What were some things that you got stuck on? Just generally, how was that journey of going into DeFi? We're all learning about it now together. So
Yeah,
what
yeah. Look,
what were those highlights?
yeah, but I mean, first and foremost, man, I'm a technologist, right? I build technology companies, and I spent 7 years building and plumbing of an insurance company, like everything from origination, underwriting, pricing, service, like literally software that like manages the policies, helps service them. And so the problem surface area is very, very large. And the amount of money, the margin that was left over for me as kind of a originating entity was pretty small. And so I decided that for this time around, I wanted to make more money and do less work. That was my driving principle. And I kind of I looked at the counterparties in the intermediate. I literally had to buy reinsurance from reinsurers. And so I look at what they were doing, quite literally signing a contract and saying we're good for it. Right. There's our financial rating. We're good if shit hits the fan. And I was like, I can probably do that. By the way, there's this thing that's happening in DeFi that makes complete sense to me. We should find a way to bridge into it because we see protocols that are pulling to get together tens of billions of capital. And I, in my mind, have like the best possible economic purpose to use that capital. Right. And from there, it's been, again, this multifaceted figure out what to do with the regulators, figure out what to do with the capital side, convince the insurance companies to work with us. And now, we're doubling and doubling and doubling. We were another 150 million in business on Jan 1, right? It's going to be 340 million in business from inception. If we can get to it, we'll write $1 billion in premium by January 1st, 2027, right? It's no longer a toy. It's a real thing. And we're backing hundreds of thousands of policies across the United States.
And where does that put you on the scale of insurance companies or reinsurance companies? Like, just for a parallel here, Aave has become, I think, what is it, the 30th largest bank? Might be even higher than that. $55 billion in deposits. And they are now measuring up. Obviously, Aave is an on-chain bank. They're a lending market. They're measuring up with the legacy financial system toe to toe. Where are you guys at relative on the loading bar, to 100% when it's all said and done and it's all tokenized, it's all on chain? What is the scale that you guys are shooting for?
Yeah, so the largest reinsurers in the world reinsure something like 80 to 90 billion a piece, right? And they're all in Germany. And that's not really including ancillary operations. Like these guys own insurance companies too, right?
Karn,
So if you think about
can I pause you real quick? Why are they all in Germany?
there's a culture around insurance in Germany that lends really well to itself. Also, there's Lloyd's of London, right? A lot of this stuff started in Europe.
Got it. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
And yeah, by the way, the American analogs are Berkshire Hathaway, $1 trillion entity, right? Owns Gen Re, owns Geico. Geico and Gen Re create float. Berkshire's asset management arm invests that float. Apollo owns Athene. This is not uncommon in TradFi, and it's gargantuan, right? 400 million in business is no longer a toy. It's still small. I think we start to really get people on notice as soon as we're above $1 billion in business.
Is the goal for this protocol to remain insuring and reinsuring kind of like off-chain business models, off-chain products? Because there's rise of Nexus Mutual, Cover, a couple of these like other DeFi protocols in 2020, but it's never really worked out. Like the insurance market on chain for smart contract risk or other kind of risk, never really worked out. Like, Is there a roadmap to think about getting into insuring DeFi or just kind of like on-chain businesses? Not a thing that you really want to focus on. Where's your kind of general like vertical based roadmap here when it comes to the insurance market?
Yeah, it's funny you asked. We were just talking to Hugh and his team this morning at Nexus. Look, I think these guys are directionally correct, right? I think that there's a burgeoning DeFi and crypto economy that's going to require insurance coverage for people to build things here and to scale them. There eventually is going to be a market clearing price that's acceptable to the risk taker and the offloader of risk. The reason we haven't seen that take off yet is because that equilibrium hasn't been met. That's basically it, right? So you got to be willing to pay for the cover, and you have to be willing to take the risk. And I think it's starting to happen around the edges, and eventually we'll find the core, and these guys will be proven out to be correct. From my perspective, I don't want to open up too many fronts in this particular battle, right? I have advantage. I'm going to take advantage of that advantage and lean into it as aggressively as I can and compound, and the business as aggressively as I can, because this thing gets better and better and better with scale, right? Like our cost of capital continues to come down. The opportunities to be able to reinsure, unique lines of business, new companies goes up with the safety and security of scale. So that's my number one priority. It'll continue to be off chain, for the foreseeable future, because we know there's lots of money there, and so that's it. And then we'll let the DeFi guys do the DeFi thing.
Yeah, makes sense. There's still so much room to grow. I'd imagine the on-chain thing becomes feasible once you have AI sort of pricing risk. It becomes a little bit more ubiquitous there. Maybe AI and prediction markets can get a sense of how risky a smart contract is. We can get some credit ratings or credit bureaus, even rating some smart contracts. Has there been any partners on your journey that, have you bootstrapped this from zero? You also mentioned you have your own internal capital that you guys are putting into stake. Like, what has been the founder journey, and generally, how have you guys gotten from zero? Talked a lot actually about how you guys are getting from 300 to $1 billion, by 2027. But how have you gotten from zero to the 340 million that you guys are at now?
Yeah. So look, I think I have the advantage of knowing a meaningful number of the insurance executives in America of consequence, right? Just like having built an insurance company from scratch, and that's been helpful. We are whitelisted with all of the major reinsurance brokers in the country, and that's just a function of like we've got people around the table that have managed multi-billion-dollar books of insurance business profitably. We've got a structure they understand. We're the only ones in market with scale and have built this capital transformer into DeFi, and they are really interested in it. Candidly, if you talk to any young person in insurance, there aren't that many. They're super interested in what we're doing, and the folks that are retiring out of this business, which is most of them, kind of know that this is what's coming, right? And they want to be part of it, so they're excited to get behind it as well. But yeah, I mean, we have great capital partners, and we've raised money from Tribe and Arjun, who's now heading up Kraken, Electric and Avichal, the Coinbase team, which we actually haven't announced, so I guess you guys know now.
Ooh,
And then
big announcement.
yeah, and then who am I missing? Electric, Tribe, Coinbase, DeFi, like a handful of other tier one angels and the like. So it's been good.
And
Yes.
you mentioned the process of when you're going out, like you've mentioned how like when you're buying insurance or buying reinsurance, you kind of have to check, you sign the paper contract and you're like, okay, yeah, there's their credit rating and, okay, I guess they say they have the capital, right? When you're on the flip side, now you're selling the reinsurance. So now you're going to insurance companies. They're looking at you. They're looking at, like a lot of this capital, it's on chain. That's kind of weird. And, do you get those questions? Do you get those weird looks?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah, the thing though is like there's a regime change in America, right? Like we have genius compliant stable coins. The market is starting to become apprised to that these are just these cash and cash equivalents, right? They're quite literally pointers to dollars that's sitting in bank accounts in US financial institutions. It's the law of the land. They know it's coming. We're literally their first trading partner to be able to like bridge the gap here. And it's not non-trivial, the education that's been required to get people to where they are, but it's working, right? We're signing up more and more customers every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people in our community are going to be curious about some of the points that are like the points program that's going on, and just generally like kind of how you're thinking about 2026 from the kind of roadmap perspective. So maybe just walk us through where we at with the points program, where are we going in 2026, what's on the roadmap here as we kind of come to a close.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't shared too much of this, publicly, but we've now staffed up to make sure that people are pretty happy with the outcome of our points program over the course of the next quarter or two, right? And it's now been running effectively since August. It's really finding its legs now. I think TVL formation is like you guys can see it starting to pick up in a pretty meaningful way. We're getting integrated into all the right places. We're talking to all the right funds and the right people. I think this is going to be a pretty good time.
Beautiful. Karn, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Really stoked about your growth. It's been cool to see from the sidelines. Been wanting to get you guys on the show. Glad we did. We'll have to circle back up in 3 to 6 months, see where you guys are at. It seems like this is going up only. One of the only up only charts right now in crypto. So it's
very cool too. We're talking a lot about this idea of neo finance, and I think you guys fit in perfectly because it's this idea that we're taking an industry that was previously super legacy, super on paper contracts, all these things, and now we're tokenizing it. We're putting it on chain, and it's exponentially more efficient and effective. You guys are pioneers. Yep. Kudos and congrats on all the great work.
Appreciate it, guys, and thanks again for having me.
Thanks, Karn.
you, man.
All right, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.